This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good.
Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. I'm pleased to announce today that I have a special guest to help out with this video. It's none other than Syon Bolt's main protagonist himself, John Bolt, to help me weigh in on this title.
This doesn't look good.
Thanks, John. And I hate to say, but I'm really inclined to agree. This does not look good. It doesn't play good, nor does it feel good.
This doesn't look good.
Alright, and that got real old real quick, and that's pretty much how I felt playing this game. Don't get me wrong here. There is a lot of fun to be had with this game, and it is really good from a certain perspective. But there are a lot of issues that really hide and mask all those good qualities. But before we get into any of that, let's start off from the beginning. When you start up Syon Bolt's campaign, you're going to be at a briefing board basically giving you a rundown of what's going on. You play as John Bolt, a soldier of Ymir. The soldiers of Ymir have been experimenting with life expectancy, basically trying to create super soldiers on the Ymir station. There's some sort of issue happening where there's been no communication for 24 hours, so you're sent to investigate. Next, you hop onto a little spaceship, and you're on your way to the station. You're hit with a missile. Pretty uneventful, you just sort of appear on the ship after. It doesn't seem to be much of an issue getting hit with a missile. Once you're on board the station, you're going to get some pop-ups explaining things like basic controls. During all this, you're working your way towards a fellow Marine who must have taken his own ship there that didn't get hit by a missile, and you get your first little bit of dialogue here.
We were unable to reach anyone from the Syon HQ. One of the Marines is already in the main terminal, so you can check the security log.
We have now just found out there are other Marines on the station, so I guess John must have either gotten up late this morning, or he's just the least popular one of the group and doesn't hear about these things until it's too late. Hearing this was actually very immersive for me as it reminded me of my own life. But enough about me, let's keep talking about the game. Here we have a very short walk through a blood-soaked corridor, although it's probably nothing to worry about. Somebody must have got a paper cut or something. And we see one of the other Marines over by the security terminal we were told to check out. So we hop over to it and take a look at what it has to show. The first few images we see are of empty rooms. Everything looks fine and dandy here, nothing to worry about. And then we see a pile of dead bodies, followed by another few slides showing the carnage that has clearly taken place at the Ymir station. This whole intro sequence is throwing off a lot of Doom 3 vibes, and I'm liking it so far. So after seeing those carnage-filled slides, what would any dual-wielding, heavy weapon-using action protagonist do in this situation? That's right, go check it out by himself. Now that the story has been somewhat established, the campaign kicks off and has you starting to explore the facility, and it's right here at this moment that you experience your first taste of what combat is like in Syon Bolt.
What was that?
And it's here at this exact moment that a couple issues pop up. First off, when you take damage, your entire screen is covered by this broken ice blood effect that's extremely distracting and annoying. And the second is that these guns are extremely underwhelming. They don't vibrate when you shoot, they sound extremely tinny, and they don't really seem that effective. And that is pretty disappointing in a game of this nature where you're dual-wielding, shooting massive hordes of enemies. Not having really satisfying guns kind of ruins that experience. Those first two issues are not great, but they are semi-passable. The third, much bigger issue I want to address here is that the stuttering that you see in this video is not anything to do with my recording. That is actually how the game looks when you're playing it on the Oculus Quest. It just doesn't run very well. I even tried messing with graphics settings going down to low, and it changed nothing to do with the performance other than the fact everything looked even uglier than it already does. That's right, I did say uglier than it already does. The textures and character models in this game are not great. All the enemy types seem very messy. It's not very clear what they're supposed to be or what they are. I'm sure this is amplified on the Quest. I have not played the PC version of this game, but reading some reviews, a lot of people share the same opinion that things just don't look very good in this game.
This doesn't look good.
Thanks, John, I couldn't have said it better myself. So the huge performance issues combined with the fact that the enemies just don't look great really make this a difficult game to recommend or even enjoy. This point's going to seem kind of like nitpicking, but some doors in the game take a really long, awkward time to open, and sometimes when they do, there's these massive missing textures that just show you open space and giant black voids. The voids are easily explained by lack of performance, but the doors are just weird sometimes. They take way longer than others to open, or other times they only take about a second. It's really inconsistent. So the next thing I want to talk about here is the repetitive gameplay loop. And that loop consists of entering an area, becoming locked in the area, having to kill waves of enemies in the area, and then it becomes unlocked and you move on to the next area, and so on and so forth, and it just repeats. Now that's all fine on its own, but the way enemies spawn is so inconsistent. They can go from spawning directly behind you from somewhere you just looked, to spawning in some far off corner where you're going to have to go find them, or they just don't spawn at all and will have you just wandering an area waiting for something to come in so you can kill it and finally move on to the next area. This completely throws off the pacing of what is supposed to be a fast-paced run-and-gun shooter with high action. It becomes just a waiting simulator where you're just sitting around in an area just waiting for an enemy or two to come in so you can finally get out of there. The compass, unfortunately, in these situations is of no help. It usually just points you to a random spot selected in the area, and until it moves to somewhere else like a doorway, you are just supposed to wait there for something.
This doesn't look good.
And just like that gag has been repeating throughout the video, this game's issues repeatedly make themselves known, and the experience becomes more and more stale as you play. I do want to give the game some credit here though. If you can stomach all the issues including the stuttering, and I literally mean stomach it, as it'll give you headaches and motion sickness very quickly. But seriously though, this game does actually pack a ton of content. The campaign has 70 different areas you'll be fighting within, and apparently is quite long. There's also a survival mode, where you choose a map and fight endless waves on with all sorts of guns that are from the campaign, all given to you right away. The variety of weapons is really good. You've got everything from miniguns to rocket launchers, sniper rifles, SMGs, an assault rifle, 2 different shotguns, and a lot of these guns also have an alternate firing mode to mix it up even more. The combat, when it kicks off and it's running good, it actually feels just like the old school Doom or Quake games, with fast movement, big explosions, tons of gore and guts flying everywhere. The enemies, when they die, sometimes have really cool physics that you don't often see in these VR games. They'll sometimes blow apart depending where you shoot them, although that varies between enemy types. Some of them just blow up the same way every time. And for both the campaign and survival modes, there are 4 different difficulties, so it adds for a lot of replayability in this title. Another thing I want to add in here is that this is in fact a pre-release version, so there is a big chance, well, maybe not that big, but we'll see. There is a chance that all these issues can be fixed or at least improved upon by the time this actually gets a full release. Syon Bolt, however, at the end of the day, whatever state it's in, is going to appeal to different people very differently. For example, some people it might trigger a sort of nostalgia, as it's going to bring back memories of playing Doom or Quake, with the fast movement, over-the-top weapons, all the gore. It's all great stuff for those people, but for others it might just come across as a bad game, unfortunately. And those people certainly will not be able to look past all these issues like the stuttering and the poor texture quality and things like that. They're just not going to be able to do it, unfortunately. No matter what, they're just not going to enjoy it. So it's a very niche game for sure. You have to be into this kind of thing to enjoy yourself playing it. And at the end of the day, if you can look past those issues, you will enjoy it. It is a good game and there's tons of content, but it's underneath a plethora of issues that really make it difficult to say that. So to sum that all up, should you try this game? Will you have fun doing it? That's hard to say, and it's going to vary between people. But right now, as it is in its pre-release state, it is currently free on SideQuest, so it won't hurt to try it and see if you like it. See if you can stomach the stutteriness and things like that. But when it does come out full release, if these issues aren't fixed, I can't justify the price of $11.99 if it's going to be similar to the Oculus Store current pricing for the full game. maybe something more like $1.70 when it goes on sale as a full price would be more reasonable for something like this, just because it's so unpolished. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens when this game does get released. And I mean, if they can clean it up a bit and make it a bit smoother, then I'll make an update video and follow up and basically state my new opinions on it. But currently right now, as a free game, yeah, sure, try it out, why not? You might like it, you might not. The issues with it will probably overpower the enjoyment. But as a paid game, I can't justify spending more than $2 on something like this. And it's really coming down to just poor performance, honestly. Because at heart, the game it has potential to be really good and really fun. There's a lot of features, tons of content. But it just doesn't work that well. Not well enough to pay more than $2, really, in my opinion. And again, some people might think differently, but that's just what I'm thinking right now. And I'm sure others are thinking the same thing. So, yeah, basically that's all I got to say about this. If you guys enjoyed the video, found anything informative, if this has swayed you to either buy the game or not buy the game when it comes out, maybe drop it in the comments. If you share similar or different opinions, drop them down in the comments. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.